right, shalom. First and foremost, I want to begin by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Ruach Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who are well. Peace, blessings, salutations to the full elected is out there pushing, laboring, believing, listening on to this truth. All right, with heart sincerity. And may the blessing election be upon your houses. All right, the title and topic of this lesson, all right, is pretty much on, these people now wanting to, hear the truth. All right, and I have this quote here by a man named Frederick Nietzsche, Nietzsche, to that sort. And the quote says, sometimes people don't want to hear the truth because they don't want their illusions destroyed, right? And that is, the people in Babylon. That is, 2/3 of our people, man. Our people that don't want to hear that truth, man, right? They don't want to hear the truth because they don't want their, misconstrued conception of reality, their false reality, their illusions, destroyed. That's why they like to listen to, Pastor Pork Chop. That's why they like to listen to those peace and prosperity doctrines, right? That's why they like to listen to, what their celebrities gotta say, listen to, everything else but the truth, man. All right, because the minute it goes against what they believe to be reality, they get upset at that, man. All right, people do not want to hear the truth, man. All right, and I did a quick Google search, right? I just typed in "people don't want to hear the truth," right? And this is from the AI overview. All right, it says it's true that people often avoid hearing the truth that are unpleasant, uncomfortable, or challenge their existing beliefs, right? Because mind you, hey, we tell you the truth. We tell you what's truly written in the scriptures. It goes against what you've been taught and teached in this world, man. It goes against what Pastor Pork Chop was telling you, man. It goes against what, the schools was teaching you, man. All right, because all these things that was being pumped into our minds from, a young age, from our adolescence, was truly, destroying us, man, was leading us astray. All right. When you tell, Jake, if they continue eating shrimp, pork, crab, lobster, getting lineups, smoking weed, being wicked, the Lord's gonna kill them. All right, they get that they feel like that's unpleasant, right? That's uncomfortable, right? That gets them, upset, right? Because that's goes against what Pastor Pork Chop was telling them, man. Pastor Pork Chop telling them, it's okay to eat all these abominable things. Pastor Pork Chop telling them, come as you are. You don't gotta change. You don't gotta stop doing this, that, and the third. You can continue being wicked. Just come in every Sunday, Saturday, whatever the case may be, and bring them ties with you, man. And it's okay. But the minute that they hear the truth of the matter, the truth of what's really written in the scriptures, they get upset at that, man. And they got some bullet points here, right? It says, maintaining illusions, right? It reads, people construct mental models of themselves and the world around them, and these models can include flattering and comfortable narratives. Hearing the truth, especially if it contradicts these narratives, can be unsettling and lead to a sense of loss or confusion, right? In reality, without the truth, you people are lost and confused, man. But nevertheless, right? You people are so, what's the word I'm looking for? Comfortable, I could say, or used to it, or so indoctrinated with the nonsense, with the BS, with the things that they are constantly pushing and promoting to us, man. Right? But the minute you hear the truth of the scriptures, they get upset. They get, all bent out of shape. Their reality, their false reality is ruined. Their Lala land is ruined, and they hate that, man. All right. It's like that movie with that wrestler, I believe his name was like Roddy Piper, and they call it They Live, right? I believe that's what it's called, They Live. And when he had those glasses on, he could see the world for what it really was, man. You see in the signs like, follow, obey, everybody around him looking dead, And when he took them off, everything looked quote unquote normal, man. That is the false illusion that is pushed in this place, man. And let me see if I can pull that up real quick. I believe it's called They Live. Yep, right here. They live, right? Let's get some pictures of it, right? Boom, perfect. Right here's a perfect example, right? When he put them glasses on, this is what he saw. You know, people looking dead. Everything is buy, conform, obey, consume, stay sleep, work. you know, and that is this is the false reality or false illusion that our people are in, man, in Babylon, America, man. Right? That is what they push and promote in this place, man. A false reality, man, an illusion, right? But our people are so comfortable or so content with their piece of the pie, that they, don't want to give it up, man. And therefore, those that, love this world so much that don't want to forsake this world, doesn't want to give this world up, ultimately you're gonna be on the receiving end of the Lord's wrath, man. Also even makes me think about this guy from the Matrix, man. I forgot his name. Let me see. Uh, Matrix Trader. Let's see if we can pull him up. This guy right here, perfect. I just typed in Matrix Trader guy, right? This guy right here, man, right? He knew, right, and it was in this scene actually. He knew he was in, a false reality. He knew he was living in an illusion, right? But he didn't want to hear the truth, right? The minute he got the truth of the matter, right, that he was living in the Matrix, and what was the reality and what wasn't reality, he basically, turned to a Judas, man. He basically turned his back. He was like, "Nah, I don't want this. I don't want this. I want to be in the illusion, man." He got upset. In this scene right here, it's like, I know this steak is fake, but it tastes real. It tastes good, and so forth, man. And that is majority of our people, man. They do not want to hear the truth, man. They want to be lied to. They want to hear illusions. They want to hear peace and prosperity. They want to hear it's okay to be a wicked. It's okay to be a harlot. Do as thou will. Come as you are. YOLO. All these different destructive mindset narratives is what our people want to hear. But the minute they hear the truth, they get upset. Okay? And that is truly a destructive mindset to have, man. All right, this is a perfect example of that, man. Right? He found out the truth. He bugged out, started turning on them, selling people out and so forth, just so he could go back to his illusion, And that is the mindset of a lot of our people, man. All right, they want to hear the lies. They don't want their reality, their false reality, to be exposed, in other terms, man. All right, this is Galatians. This is Galatians, the 4th chapter, verse 16. It reads, "Am I therefore become your enemy because I tell you the truth?" Right? So, and that's what it's like, right? We become these people enemy. These people hate us. These people, want to do all types of harm unto us. All right, because we tell them the truth, man. Right? Hence, going back to, the different bullet points I was going to, man. Right? People don't want to hear the truth, man. Right? They want to live in their illusion. They want to live in La La Land. They want to live in, other words, if you can see what I'm saying, they want to live in like the Matrix, man. This is Isaiah 30:9. It reads that this is a rebellious people, lying children that would not hear the law of the Lord, which say to the seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things, speak unto us smooth things, prophesy to cease. And that's our people, man. They don't want to hear the truth, man. They want to hear all different types of things that make them feel good, right? Things that make their flesh feel good, man. But you got to eat the whole roll, man. You got to eat the bitter and the sweet, man. You got to, follow all these scriptures, man. You can't pick and choose what you want to, follow, man. And that's what, these modern day plantation pastors do, man. Right? That's what majority of people do in today's day and age, man. Right? We live in a highly perverse, highly degenerate, faithless generation, man. Where they lack the fear of Yahweh Shemal Shah. Right? Where they don't take, what's written in scripture seriously, man. Right? These people truly live in a fairy tale, man. In La La Land, man. Truly like the movie they live, man. These people are just, walking dead, man. In other terms. That's why they hate us when we tell the truth. That's why they like the scripture says, right? See not, tell the seer, see not, prophesy not to his right thing, speak unto a smooth thing. They want to hear, what past, like, they want you to come to them like past a pork chop, man. In your 3-piece suit, pulling up to the church in your Bentley, red carpet rolled out, coming out, telling them everything they want to hear, man. But the minute you tell them the truth, they get upset. The minute you tell someone what they're doing is wicked and the Lord's going to judge them in a terrible way for that, they get upset. They want to fight. They want to scoff and so forth, man. The minute you tell these people that, Esau, Edom is a devil, right? The so-called white man is a devil, all right? They get upset at that, man. They don't even try to inquire or ask why, that is said. Why we said that for, And we could have went to the scriptures and explained it, expounded on it. But instead of Jake doing that, what they do? They bug out. Because Daddy Esau isn't going to make it. Our people have a very misconstrued conception of reality, man. Right? They live in this false reality. It's Ecclesiasticus, the 13th chapter, verse 23, and it reads, when a rich man speaketh, every man holdeth his tongue, and look what he saith. And that's exactly what they do in this place, man, right? If you're celebrity talking, if you're LeBron James, your Kyrie Irvings, your Kendrick Lamars, your Kodak Blacks, your Lil Waynes, your rich businessmans, your Jeff Bezos, Warren Buffett's, these politicians, people with power and fame and riches speak, all these people gonna stop and listen and say, oh shit, let me see what he's talking about, right? Take out a pen and paper and really take notes and try to really study every single word they said, man, right? Let's continue, right? When a rich man speaketh, every man holdeth his tongue, and look what he said. They extol it to the clouds. But if the poor man speaketh, they say, what fellow is this, right? And if we say something, they'd be like, in other terms, they'd be like, yo, who man's is this, man? What is this guy talking about, man? What is this guy yapping about, man? No, I don't want to hear it, man, right? But let one of these celebrities say the same thing we've been saying. People are like, oh, man, this guy got it. Oh, man, oh, that's the truth, right? Oh, yeah, But since it's coming from our mouths, these people don't want to take heed to it, man. They be like, yo, who man's is this, man? Right? Scripture said, what fellow is this? All right? And if he stumbled, they will help to overthrow him. So, hey, ultimately, man, these people don't want to hear the truth, man. Right? They'd rather hear coming from one of their celebrities, one of their, what do you call them, influencers, in other terms, man. These social media personalities, But that's the problem with our people, man. They don't want to hear the truth, man. Right? Our people want to live in an illusion, in a false reality, man. All right. But hey, I'm gonna wrap it up with that point as it made. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying to the elect of Israel. With that being said, I'll give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Ruach HaKodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone Ruel. Peace, blessings, salutations to the elect that is out there pushing, laboring, believing, and listening to this truth with heart sincerity. Until next time, shalom. In the ball, Kwame Sharala, shalom.